Welcome into episode number 23 of Sports Den alongside Mary Rominger. I'm Matt Dean. We're here to bring you all the action from Blaine Centennial, Spring Lake Park, R3 North Metro TV schools, and a lot of action to talk about this week. Mary, we got the girls hockey state tournament in the books, and we got lots of brackets to fill out. So I love being wrong, filling those out incorrectly, and we've got a lot of big games into the postseason to talk about already.
Yep, the madness of March is right around the corner, and even better, it's the state of hockey, the best time of the year in this state.
Yeah, we'll get into some of those boys hockey brackets, and we got a terrific Section 5 AA tournament going on at Fogarty Arena around the corner in Blaine. 8 versus 9 seed matchup on Tuesday as SLP were taking on Irondale. Winner of this game went on to face the top-seeded Rogers in the section quarterfinals. Scoreless game, 8:38 into the first. Ian St. Martin, how about a senior defenseman getting his first goal of the season? 1-0 SLP. On the rush in the second, an initial shot saved. Connor Larson just scoots it in from the corner off the netminder. The Panthers have a 2-0 lead on Larson's 10th of the year. Here it is, Larson with the initial shot this time. Under a minute later, Panthers score again. Caden Lichter with the wrister. The freshman of the backhander is second of the year. It was 3-0 Panthers. Another one leaks through as a John Ross with a great headman pass found Teddy Wackman, the 14th of the season, made it 4-0 SLP. Still, as they're announcing the goal from Wackman, Brock Lewick, a little bit of a mistake, gives it away in the half wall, but he gets back at his crease in time to make the save, so no harm, no foul, as they say. Panthers aren't done yet. They add a fifth as Larson scores a second time, and SLP would go up in this one 5-0. Irondale would get a goal back from Lincoln Erdahl, but it would only change the final score as the Panthers advance to the quarterfinals.
So I knew they were gonna have the puck loose there. Found my line mate, came, he dished it to me. I didn't really have any other way to shoot, so I just shot the puck on net and it went in. So I think the team, me personally right now, I think I'm playing good hockey, producing a lot, and the team, I think we're playing better hockey. We've won in our last few games, and I just think that we're gonna be ready to play Rogers and come play hard.
That was our issue playing these guys in our first game of the season, is we had a ton of shots, but they weren't all quality. So I think for us, it just takes us a little bit of buzz, momentum to get in the game and start scoring more. You know, it feels good to get a win for sure going into the 1 seed, but I mean, we hope we can play really good against them on Saturday morning. It was nice to get on the board early and get a good win with the boys and go into this weekend.
So Spring Lake Park picks up a nice win in the play-in game. As we said, the 8 versus 9 seed after they had won 2 of their last 3 to end the regular season. Teddy Wackman, you heard from him a little bit, his team-high 14th goal of the season scored in that one. Larson with his 4th multi-goal game of the year. He is the second Panther to reach double digits in goals scored this year with 11.
And now the Panthers, the rematch against top-seeded Rogers in the quarterfinals. Rogers, the 1 seed, who took care of SLP late in the regular season. Halfway through the first period, the Royals find the back of the net first. Parker Duchesne with the backdoor goal. A nice pass in front from Chase Cheslock, and the Royals take a 1-0 lead. About 1 minute later, Rogers wins the battle along the boards. Carson Melquist goes top shelf from the slot, and before the period ends, it's Duchesne finding the back of the net for the Royals once more, and Spring Lake Park will head into the first intermission down by 3. To the second period we go. Panthers, John Ross brings the puck into the zone. He sends it in front. Teddy Wackman cleans up in the paint for SLP's first goal of the evening. A little bit of a spark, but after that, Rogers scores 5 unanswered goals in that frame alone, and Rogers wins 8-1. A very strong performance by Rogers. No surprise there, Matt. But how about how Spring Lake Park fared, at least to start the tournament?
Yeah, nice win for SLP. I mean, Rogers are one of those just top-tier teams that a lot of teams have a problem with, and you see the disparity in shots They dominate the game. Rogers have taken a couple lumps this year in a tough Northwest Suburban Conference, but they look like they are firing on all cylinders at the right time.
No goals were scored in the third period, but the Panthers' leading scorer in Wackman with the lone goal for SLP as the Cougars end their season with an 8-18 overall record. Rogers is now on to the semifinals, so here we find out who they play.
Yep, so top-seeded Rogers are on. Who are they going to play? We'll find out. Another Saturday night matchup from Fogarty. It was the 4th seed Centennial taking on number 5 Totino Grace. Centennial won 5-3 in the regular season meeting. That was played back on December the 1st at Centennial. Drake Ramirez has his shot blocked. The D-man Austin Peterson follows with the opening lamplighter of the game, and it was 1-0 Cougars. Centennial on the power play nearly 4 minutes into the second. Look at Searles walking the blue line. He finds Brock Carls, who floats it on to Drake Ramirez. Beautiful team goal for the tap in from Ramirez, and it was 2-0 Centennial early in the second. Still second period, beautiful entry into the zone by the Cougars. Brock Carls stick handling, and he lays it off to Anders Westman, who finishes the play. 4:55 into the second to make it 3-0 Centennial at that point. Carls would ring it in, get the cycle going, creating some offense from the blue line once again. Finally, the Cougars get it out into that dangerous scoring area. Heath Nelson scores, and the Cougars get 3 within 2 minutes and 10 seconds of that second period to go up 4-0. Eagles would get one back before the second intermission. Cougars would leave no doubt as Westman would score again. That's the third line center making his mark, scoring his second of the game, and the Cougs roll to the 5-1 victory.
Semifinal in 5AA, courtesy of a 5-1 win over Totino Grace.
Our coaches know their goalie is really good. We got to put a lot of shots on them and screen them, get the goals.
What do you think about the upcoming matchup in the section semifinals against the top seed Rogers?
Super excited. Good test.
Just don't overlook them. We beat them earlier in the season, and it was a closer game, but we just really focused on finishing our hits, getting pucks in deep, getting shots on net, just clean up the D zone, end up working out.
What did you guys determine was wrong with the defense? Because, yeah, you played some really good teams, but you were giving up, 6.5 goals a game in that losing streak toward the end of the season. What did you guys fix in practice to correct things tonight?
Just zoning, really making sure we get back and pick up a guy, not letting anyone loose in the slot, and picking up sticks.
It seemed like the hitting was really intense. It seemed like you guys were ready for this game from the word go.
Yeah, we were very excited to get going after a week of practicing. It gets old after a while, so it was a fun one.
What do you think of the upcoming matchup in the section semifinals against Rogers? Obviously, 2 Mr. Hockey finalists and one of the best teams in the state.
Yeah, you got to respect them. They got those 2 players who are just unbelievable. It's going to be a really good test for us. We're going to have to play the same way we did today, except even harder.
Well, we'll have it for you on North Metro TV. Drake, thanks for your time, and best of luck on Tuesday.
Thank you very much.
Good signs of life from the Cougars heading into that big matchup you heard Bill Hupp and Drake Ramirez talking about. How about the Centennial? Their electrifying offense. We know about that great top line of Searles, of Ramirez, of that unit. You got 3 of the 5 goals in this game came from second and third liners for Rich Menny's team. You get another from a defenseman. So Centennial looking for a little bit more of that balance as they get set for that upcoming section tournament that we'll take a look at here. Rogers, the top seed. Moving on, we saw the highlights in the win over Spring Lake Park. Centennial have a big matchup with the Royals. There was a little bit of nitpicking you could do to maybe push Centennial into the 3, Champlain Park as the 2, but I think either way it's a coin flip, and you got to face a really good team in the semifinals anyway, because you've got Maple Grove staring at you on the other side in a really tough Section 5AA. The Cougars looking to turn it around after they lost 9-5 to Rogers, let in 5 goals in the first and last go-around. In 7AA, in the meantime, Blaine went and won their play-in game. They would lose to top-seeded Duluth East, who will take on the reigning champs Andover at Amsoil Arena in Duluth, coming up on Wednesday night with a trip to state on the line in that one.
And last week, the Class 2A Girls Hockey State Tournament wrapped up in Centennial Spring Lake Park. gave the tournament favorites Minnetonka a run for their money, a 3-2 loss. But 2 goals, a 1-goal loss for CSLP.
I'm sure it didn't feel like it at the time, but I think Centennial SLP's got to feel really proud of their effort. Down 2 goals going into the third period. Miss Hockey finalist Lauren O'Hara scores to get them on the board. An 8th grader, Grace Lager, scores with 1:14 left in the game to tie it, but a heartbreaker as the Skippers would score with inside a minute to go to lift Minnetonka onto the semifinals. I mean, what a game. We had another great overtime performance by Minnetonka in the next round. It's up there as one of the best 2 or 3 games in the entire state tournament at Excel last week. So fantastic stuff. I know the result didn't come for Centennial SLP, but they really have to feel proud about what they were able to do, I think.
And I'm happy it all happened given the weather that the cities all throughout Minnesota was hit with. But now turning it over to the soon-to-be madness, some late season high school boys basketball, and we start off with Centennial as they visit Coon Rapids. The Cougars are on the road, and Centennial won the first meeting between the two, 73-58. We're early in the first half. Jackson Hetworth connects from beyond the arc for Coon Rapids. 8-8 score now. Ty Burgoon drains it from up top. What a night Burgoon had 5 for 9 from 3-point range. Later, Jackson Dreesen works the ball down low, finishes with the fadeaway. Talk about big nights. Dreesen had a huge game. Cougars up 44-28 off the inbounds. It's Tyler Mabry with the points in the paint. Second half now. Dreesen drains it from way deep. Dreesen finished with 44 points. You heard that right. Later, it's Mabry. Drives all the way to the hoop and gets the bucket plus the foul. 80-66 point lead now for the Cougars. And some really nice ball movement. In the end of this sequence, it's Jack DeGostino who finishes down low for 2. Scoring from all over is happening for the Cougars. Centennial now with the steal, and Dreesen on the other end finishes off the glass. Centennial wins this one big, 94-78, and Dreesen with a school record 44 points. He went 9 for 14 from 3 alone, 14 for 21 from the field, 7 for 8 from the charity stripe. A huge game for the sophomore guard, Matt.
What?
Yeah.
44 points. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, this didn't come out of nowhere for Dreesen, right? This is obviously the high point of a run that this sophomore has been on. He's averaging over 26 per game the last 4. I don't think you can count on Dreesen for 40 a night, but if he can become a 15, 20 a game scorer, you complement that with Ty Burgoon, all of a sudden Centennial becomes a tough out as kind of a middling seed in a very winnable section tournament down the road. Next game we got in our docket, also going on Tuesday night, we had Blaine hosting Champlin Park in another Northwest Suburban Conference matchup. Very similar script to the game we're used to seeing from the Bengals. High scoring, they're going to give up some points, but they are tough to hang with. Ethan Pettis, the junior, with his second straight game of 12 times 2. He's got 10 of 20 or more this year, averaging 17 a game. Ryan Bullman, as the bigs are starting to get healthy for Blaine, he comes a point shy of back-to-back 20-point games. He's one of the bigs, averaging 18 a game for the Bengals this year. So hard to key in on one guy in that Bengal lineup, and Blaine, as they get healthy, playing some good basketball right now.
Also in action, Spring Lake Park in a matchup with Armstrong. It was a close game. Nice balance from SLP with 4 players in double digits, but Armstrong, the eventual winner, winning 72-68. And it's SLP's 3rd straight loss.
Take a look at the standings in the Northwest Suburban Conference as we approach the final 2 games of the regular season. Blaine playing some good ball. They've won 3 straight since a 3-game losing skid, picking up some really nice wins we'll take a look at in a second. Centennial 2-4 in their last 6. How about Park Center, still at the top of the Northwest Suburban Conference in first, but they had their 41-game winning streak going back to last season, of course, including a Class 4A state title snapped by Elk River on Friday for the Pirates as they still find themselves sitting pretty atop the conference.
And now it's down to the final stretch, just a couple more games from left to right. Blaine was on a 3-game losing streak, turns around for a 3-game win streak, and now 2 games to try and get off to a hot start as the section playoffs begin. Centennial only wins 1 of their last 5 games. They'll have Andover, and then they hit the road to close out the season at Totino Grace and at Armstrong. Then for Spring Lake Park, they'll try and turn around what is right now a 3-game losing streak at Anoka, and then they return home for a matchup with Rogers.
Taking it to the girls' side, Friday night action where 18th ranked Blaine were on the road in the regular season finale at Osseo. Stifling defense again, the story for Blaine. They play a really tough 2-3 zone. They're going to end the regular season, the Bengals will, on a 4-game winning streak. Molly Garber, who crossed 1,000 points in her Bengal career the game prior, ends up scoring a 23, and she is averaging over 22 a game over that 4-game winning streak as the Bengals close out the regular year on.
More girls basketball action. Spring Lake Park in action against Totino Grace. SLP gets the 82-75 win, a really strong win for SLP, and such with 17 points. That's 4 players you see on your screen in double figures. A very powerful matchup, or a very powerful result for SLP.
Talked about the great defense from the Bengals in that couple of games back we looked at. How about for Centennial as they hold the Huskies to inside 40? Marissa Frost, the junior commit to NDSU, finishes the regular season double figures in 24 out of 26 games. Macy Littlefield is 2 off of her season high, scoring 18 as the Cougars' second leading scorer behind Frost, averaging 9 per game this year.
And here you have it, the final standings in the Northwest Suburban Conference. Maple Grove, of course, the undefeated conference champs, but at third, Centennial with a 14-5 in-conference record. Blaine 12-7, and SLP 8-11. Some a really strong result there for Centennial and Blaine, Matt.
Yeah, Blaine really finishing the season strong. Centennial a couple of stumbles, but they get it back on track after a loss, really a pretty surprising loss to Blaine head-to-head that kind of pegged him down in third. And that might be a section final that we could see coming up. First with the Section 5 4A bracket. We're going to have a unusual matchup. Spring Lake Park and Mounds View not too far away from each other. It'll be their first matchup of the season and first in 2 years as those section foes will face off. Always a toss-up in the 4-5 game as SLP look to get out and see potential top-seeded Maple Grove in the semis. That section final we alluded, it could be Centennial and Blaine. Remember, that matchup just happened. The Bengals holding Centennial's terrific offense to a season-low 31 points in a defensive battle. Centennial are still the top seed because otherwise, besides that loss to Blaine, they were 7-1 against the section this year. Blaine will be favorites on the bottom portion of the bracket as they match up with 7th seed Forest Lake to start. Those two teams, Blaine and Centennial, split the regular season series. Centennial had won 5 in a row and 15 of the last 16 before the Bengals really shut them down in a pretty terrific defensive battle we had in North Metro a couple weeks ago. So that's certainly going to be a section tournament that's fun to watch, and one that will be a really interesting rematch if it does end up. Obviously, we're Sports Den, North Metro TV. We're hoping for a Blaine Centennial
head-to-head rivalry matchup. That's definitely what we want. But either way, very excited to see it all play out.
We've also got action in the pool as we are headed towards the state tournament in boys swim and dive. We will start with the section finals occupied by the Spring Lake Park Panthers, starting out with boys diving, where Sebastian Santiago, a sophomore from SLP, ended up placing third with a score of 353.25 in the diving finals. Each section will send 4 divers to state. Henry Ross of Wayzata with a score of 445.7, a senior, took the top spot in this 5AA tournament. Will Francis of Armstrong, a junior, in second. At fourth was Jasper Fong of Wayzata and Ian Cobb of Maple Grove, a junior, finishing fifth. But Sebastian Santiago representing for SLP in the blue, red, and white, taking in this section swim and dive tournament. Action went Friday and Saturday at the Minnetonka Aquatic Center, by the way. You see SLP's Santiago standing on the podium. On to the swimming side, where it was, again, the top 2 spots, automatic qualifiers for the upcoming state tournament. We start with the 200-yard medley relay. It was Wayzata's group of Carr, Liu, Carter, and Kirchner taking top honors in the victory for the Trojans in that event for Wayzata. On to the 200-yard freestyle, where we would go next. You see SLP taking a second spot in that last event. It would be Maple Grove's Logan Sear who would finish the race to the end, the 200-yard free. The Crimson take the top spot in the automatic qualifying bid in that one. To the 200-yard intermediate medley. This was won by one of the SLP Panthers, Sam Clark, a senior, winning the race in the intermediate medley. He gets the state tournament spot and a first place finish at sections. 50-yard freestyle now. It would be senior Braden Ripken. Get used to that name. You're going to hear it a few more times in this highlight package. He takes the section title in the 50-yard freestyle representing the Panthers. On to the 100-yard butterfly. He's swimming a little different, but it looks like the same guy for SLP. It is Ripken in the 100-yard butterfly. He sneaks into one of the outside lanes and takes the top spot at the podium for the Panthers. On to the 100-yard free, Wayzata's John Kirchner would go on to win this one. The Trojans would finish as a team with the top spot in the Section 5AA tournament. SLP just behind him in second. In the 500-yard freestyle, Maple Grove's Logan Sear would take it with the top time in the distance race. Pretty tight finish for the 500-yard free. Really hanging out there. 200-yard free relay, Wayzata's group of Cisco, Liu, Hensenberg, and Curvin would take the top spot, winning the 200-yard free relay for the Trojans, who were the team section champions, as we mentioned, in 5AA. In the 100-yard backstroke, Wayzata's Nathan Carr. And get there in the end in the yellow cap and the blue and gold for Wayzata. And the 100-yard breaststroke would be the event to follow, and it would be SLP senior Braden Ripken with his third individual first place finish of the day, as Ripken would have himself a day for SLP. Big smile on his face and the big double fist pump on the podium. Love to see it. 400-yard free relay. Final event of the day. Wayzata's group of Carr, Carter, and Kirchner. Cisco as well. The quartet take it in that one for Wayzata in the top spot in the 400-yard free relay.
200 IM, and I will be advancing to state. It really was kind of an unforeseen race here. I mean, I came from the outside, and nobody really saw me coming, but, you know, someone had to get the job done, and that person was me today. Another person to get the job done is this man right here.
I just won the 50, and it feels good to beat my brother's record and advance on to state and get to swim one more time my senior year, and it just feels good just to race and finish up senior year strong. Yeah.
And now on to the 7AA section boys swim and dive meet. Centennial and Blaine featured in the day's action, and we start off with the diving finals. By the way, the 7AA section record still lies with Drew Germain of Blaine, who scored a 470.45 in 2011. So for showing out for Centennial and Blaine, Tyler Colota, the junior for Centennial, finished with a 234.25 for 10th place. Elijah Mantle finished 15th for Centennial with a 182.10. Mantle is just a 7th grader. And in the end, though, the winner of the diving events is Leaf Nearing for Duluth East. A very big showing by him. He had scored a 341.90. Now on to the swimming portion of the evening. We start off with the 200-yard medley relay winner, and that's the group for Duluth East: Leaf Ziering, Eric Osai, Grant Woodney, and Landon West. Now in the 200-yard IM, It's Max Schruer for Centennial, who finished with a top time of 2:01.87. Huge congratulations to Schruer for his performance. Now moving on to the 500-yard freestyle winner for Blaine. A very strong performance. By Ryan Mackey for Blaine. He gets second place to qualify for state.
My family's here to support me, and they were swimmers before me, and it was really fun to try to beat their times and improve myself.
It means a lot. I've been training 5 years to get here. I've been doing a lot of off-season. I've been training with multiple different coaches over the course of the years, and I've been working my butt off. So I think I deserve to make it to state. It was a lot of work, and I'm glad I'm glad I made it to state with the boys I made it with.
It's been a dream, and I always thought I had to be, top dog and be the fastest. But until you realize that you don't need to be the greatest, and when you got all these amazing people, and that's also what led into my success, is I got these amazing teammates, and they helped lift me and bring me to where I am today.
This is my first time going. I'm a sophomore, so it just means a lot to be able to go with my teammates.
Yeah, really cool stuff hearing that from the Blaine swimmers in particular. Love that, hearing about how much work it is. Like when I was in high school, you always tried to act like you don't work that hard to be cool.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really study that much for the test. He's just I like it. Just talk about these guys sacrifice a lot to be student athletes, a lot of time in the gym in the off season. So love hearing about that. State swimming, great event, one of many we'll have coming up in the state of Minnesota coming up.
Yep, I can't wait to see it all. All the work you talked about, this is where it pays off, the state meet. So
and we've got, again, section playoffs to talk about in boys hockey. Tons more coming up next week. This has been episode 23 of Sports Den. From Matt Dean, from Mary Rominger, signing out here at North Metro TV.